Jaylan Ford, New Orleans Saints, played at Frisco Lone Star High School. There's some players from Frisco Lone Star.
I was just thinking about that, yeah. We got, Nick Bolton, who's about to play in the Super Bowl. Ashton Genty, who had an amazing, not just last year or this, past year, but just an amazing career altogether. So I'm really proud of him. You got Marvin Mims. There's been a ton of guys, and there's still more guys that I think will end up coming out or that are in college right now.
Your rookie year, you got to play about half of it, and then of course you had the injury. You're obviously you're on a scooter.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's the recovery going?
Recovery's going good. I'm just I'm bummed that I didn't get to finish the season out completely, and that this is just something I have to deal with. But I think the Saints have taken really good care of me, and they're taking me through every step. So I have a lot of confidence that I'll be back. They said the timeline is like June or something like that, but I'm not really too bummed out about it. It's kind of just another obstacle that I'm 100% sure I'll overcome.
You don't know who your head coach is going to be yet, which has got to be a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll find out next week.
Yeah.
So that it'll be all done. But this was probably a pretty interesting rookie year going through all that. What did you learn about yourself and dealing with adversity? Because it's a lot different than Texas the last couple of years where things were on the way up, right?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I honestly think my rookie year could kind of compare it to my first not my first year and not my freshman year of college, but maybe my second year, and that was like kind of that transition of we had Tom Herman, and then he got fired, and so we had a new coach and having a new coach and all that stuff. But I think and that was my first time really dealing with adversity, and now I'm older and I've been through that, so I kind of think I know how to handle adversity just a little bit better. Obviously, there's a lot more growing to do for me, but I think for the main thing, the main part was just knowing that I can only control the things I can control. So focusing on myself and focusing on how I can get better, and being better for my team, and doing the small things that they ask of me, and just learning to improve. I think those are the kind of the biggest things I took away from this year.
We've had former UT players on, sometimes current UT players on over the years, but one of the things about Coach Sarkisian, you hear about changing the culture, and you see that a lot when there's a coaching change or whatever that might be. But you guys really did. I mean, there was a cleansing, so to speak.
It was a visible change for sure.
When did you know? What were some of the things you could say? Oh, this is going to be different.
That year following, I think we went 5-7 or whatever.
Yep.
That following year, I knew. Me personally, I was more motivated than ever because that year wasn't my best year, and I felt like I should have been playing more, and I wasn't. And so I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. And then on top of that, we were losing the teams we shouldn't have been, and we were losing games we shouldn't have lost. And it was just a lot of things that just piled up and they built up. And I think we took that anger and we put it into the offseason, and we worked our butts off. And our biggest thing was just trying to change the narrative about how Texas was where we were headed, and what they would say about us. And it took a minute, and I think even now there's still some things that obviously that there's some humps that Texas is still looking to get over. But for the most part, I think I was part of that group that got it started.
Yeah, you were.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
you were.
We talked about this yesterday on the show about the culture shift that happened. And you were on the bus, I'm assuming, when Bo Davis.
Yeah, I was on that bus. I was on that exact bus.
Laid into
the bus.
The bus. There were, and I'm sure there were some guys that were like, well, that's it. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to the character of the team that most of you were like, I'm glad somebody said it. Was that maybe the feeling after the initial shock of, damn, this guy's crazy, wore off?
Honestly, I would say if you're really bought in and if you're really about the team, what he was saying, it was like, I think, for the people that weren't on that bus, the reason he said what he was saying was because that's how everybody felt. But there were some people on the bus that didn't feel that way, and he was more angry that there was people laughing, and they weren't mad at the fact that we just got whooped, and it was more about it was like a pride thing, and like kind of like this wasn't like this is not what we're trying to do here. And I think that was so like when he did it, I wasn't surprised, and I didn't really have a reaction of like, oh, he's crazy or not. Like I think everybody knows how Bo Davis is, so it wasn't a surprise that he was the one going off on the bus like that. It was more about like people were fed up with us and losing that year. Like I said, that was the year we went 5-7, so we had lost like at that point like 5 games in a row, and losing I think it was to Iowa State didn't help, and kind of that was a little turning point too as well. And after that, Sark, he realized like he gonna have to get some bad apples out of the tree, and I think that's what he ended up doing. And he hadn't looked back. Obviously, it's definitely you look at him now, it's like he's got a new culture, new guys, set a new standard. So I don't really think they'll have to worry about that anymore.
Did anyone say anything after was everyone just like, oh,
well,
damn.
I think the biggest shock was that there was a video of it, because like so it was a funny thing because there was dudes in the back of the bus, and so he was kind of walking towards the back, and I was in the middle a little bit. So like I'm right here, and Bo was like right here. I'm looking at him going off, and then like you see like literally the next day like a video came out about it, and obviously in the locker room it was just a funny thing because if Bo Davis, like Bo didn't care, and neither really did we. It was just like it was funny because everybody that's not in that locker room, not in our walls, kind of got to see what the type of coach he is.
It was funny how a lot of people reacted to it that don't know what it's like to be in a locker room.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people probably in the world like, oh, man, this is bad. And like, no, I mean, this is pretty standard. I mean, like, but
I think that could go for honestly any, there's a lot of overreactions to things that happen like within locker rooms, and you never really understand the full story unless you're in there.
But I think for the fan base, it like maybe helped a little bit for like, we've got a coach. Yeah, coaches who
they embraced it. Yeah,
coaches who recognize that it's different now.
Yeah. And I think that was pretty cool just to see that some of the fans they embrace it. They love that there's somebody that actually has a lot of passion and cares for the team.
They were thirsty. You hear about the Texas, the logo, the tradition, and of course they won it in 05 with Vince and played for it in 09, but there'd been about a 10-year, 12-year bubble of
long time.
1 or 2 teams that were pretty good. You became a tackling big play machine.
Yeah.
I mean, could have been as the defensive player of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
What was it about? Was that just one more year older, experienced people around you that you made you better and you made them better too?
It was a ton of things. I think the biggest one for me was just like I was saying, we came off of a pretty bad year for us, and it was just all the motivation, to light a fire underneath not just me but the whole team. And I was just one guy that didn't have a lot of I didn't make a lot of noise a year previous, and so coming out there I finally earned the starting role, and I just was given the opportunity and I just tried to make the most of it.
You had it was a gigantic defensive line, first of all. I mean, gigantic, but which for all linebackers makes it really like you're going to get some tackles because again, Blacking Sweat alone, like that's 2 guys. You're not going to do it 1-on-1. You really aren't. How much was that just fun to be like, oh, look, well, here comes the running back, and I got him now.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I think the funniest thing to me was like not only were they taking on the blocks, but they were getting off the blocks and making the tackle before I could get there. So, but having Murphy and having Sweat, having those guys, and being on the same team, and it was really good. It was really fun actually, and we were able to go out there and compete, and make jokes about it, have fun, and we were doing things that we hadn't done to Texas in a long time. So, all those things just played a part of in having a great experience with them guys, and creating a bond and a brotherhood that will never be broken.
So close, the Washington game, they had kind of separated, and then they kind of played with their own food for a little bit. You guys were throwing the ball in the damn end zone to maybe win it. And then 1 yard line against Ohio State. How is that? Do you just feel like sometimes teams have to go through that to get to the next level, or is that?
Absolutely. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. You could look at it one way as we got to the same spot and lost 2 years in a row, or you could look at it like we got to the same spot 2 years in a row, but it happened to be playing for a national championship. And so for a Texas fan, the fact that we're even in that position 2 years back to back, that's a positive sign to me because, like you said, it was a 10 plus year bubble of Texas teams, quite frankly being mediocre or not living up to expectations. And so I think this is just the beginning of something that I think is going to be special. And Sark was able to come in there and he brought in a group of coaches that have helped him establish what seems to be like something that's going to work for a long time. So
you are a group of players who, because you mentioned Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
You knew about Ashton Genty before all of us knew about Ashton Genty. Craig, our other co-host, Smokey's son, because of the Earl Campbell Award, knew about Ashton a couple years ago, and he was one of the ones like beating the drum of like, this kid is a badass.
Yeah.
Like, we need to start paying attention to him a little bit more. What was it? When did you know, like, this kid is different?
So I didn't get to see him. I would come back to watch them games when I was in college. But when I was there, I think he had just come from. I can't remember where he came from. I want to say he was somewhere else. He wasn't playing football a lot because he's moving around, and his dad was in the military.
That's right. Yeah.
And so he had a great story, and like he just came out there. He was just out of nowhere. Like Ashton Genty came out there. And we didn't know where to put him, and so they would just move him around. Like the funniest, the story I'll always remember is we were in the playoffs and we're playing Highland Park, and out of nowhere we need one of our big guys needed a break and nose. So here comes Ashton Genty playing nose. He was in the zero, head up on the center, and he goes in there and he runs around and he gets a sack. And that story will always stick with me because like nobody knew the Ashton Genty that there is now back then, but you could kind of tell he was going to be special even then. Like just to be able to go out there and make a play at the D line, and he's like 5'9", 100 some 200 pounds maybe. So I think that was just a pretty cool story and a testament to him and everything he's been able to accomplish now.
From Lone Star High School to runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, and absolutely
crazy
could have
story.
won it too if it wasn't
absolutely.
for this once-in-a-lifetime player also in Travis Hunter.
And I'm just like, I know back home there, they can't wait to put all his accolades and everything up on them walls. But he deserves everything that's coming for him. He didn't, he could have after his junior or his sophomore year. I mean, he could have went somewhere else, for NIL.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had him on 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he just loyalty meant a lot of things to him.
You know what I'm saying? He wanted to make a mark at his school that he started with, and guys like that, they don't come around too often. And so I think, he deserves everything that's coming his way, and I'm really excited and proud of him. So,
well, you're recovering. Rehab, it's not easy. It's lonely probably. It's kind of monotonous and tedious, but we wish you the best of luck and
appreciate it.
And going through that. You'll just every day, right?
Keep chopping wood.
every day, just keep stacking things on top of each other. Good luck. Your last year at Texas, man. Not that you weren't pretty good before, but you were dominant.
I'm looking to build on that now. In the NFL. I just finished my rookie year, so hopefully there's more opportunities and better things to come.
Jaylan Ford, University of Texas, Lone Star High School in Frisco, and also with the New Orleans Saints with us in New Orleans.